meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge and the prayer. Chief, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Victor, would you lead us in prayer tonight?
Father God in heaven, we thank you for this beautiful, beautiful day that you've given us. Help us to not take our days for granted, God. We ask for your guidance, Lord, and for your direction, Lord, in our meeting tonight, Lord. Please place your wisdom upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
Councilor Foster,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Segala,
Here.
Councilor Locke,
Here.
Mayor Becker.
Here.
A quorum is declared.
Do you have any modifications to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Approval of consent agenda for minutes of regular meeting July 1st, 2021, and review and approval of accounts payable.
I'll move to that we approve the consent agenda and minutes and review of accounts payable.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, the approval of consent agenda from minutes of regular meeting July 1st, 2021, and review and approval of accounts payable. Is there any more discussion? Anita?
Councilor Foster,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Segala,
Aye.
Councilor Locke,
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, proclamations, communications, and appointments. Who's doing that?
Jim.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. This evening it's my.
Who's that?
Seems like a long time ago. This evening it's my pleasure to give a service award to Brandon Gallegos for 5 years of service. He's been here this whole time, mostly working in the background. You don't get to see him much, but he definitely has been here for the last 5 years. And Brandon, I want to say thank you for your service. Christian Botzer is generally the technician you see the most of here. He has now been here for 3 years, but unfortunately we don't have a certificate for 3 years, but I'd like to thank him for his service as well.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate what you do in the background, just so you know.
Okay. Seems like you got a good team there. So.
Thank you all.
And then when we're done with the meeting, I need your help.
Yeah, that's what you were saying being nice for.
Okay, we'll move to citizen comments, special presentations. In order to be included on this portion of the agenda, you have to file appropriate form with the city clerk no later than noon on Monday prior to the meeting. So we have Bob Richards with KSLV Radio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, appreciate that. So, last meeting, I should say, as you may remember, some of you that were here, I was here and asked some questions. And one of the questions that I asked was how to be included in a meeting, because I wanted to tackle a question about potentially broadcasting these proceedings, and that morphed into something more than that. And so I'm here today basically to talk about the event center, because the answer that I got when I asked the question last meeting concerned me. We'll just put it that way a little bit. So the Sky High Event Center, I've got some questions, and I may have just some observations I'd like to pass on to you all to consider as we move forward with the event center. So the event center is a new venue to be a replacement home for a few events a year, or is it Monte Vista's chance for a positive economic development and to become the undisputed home for entertainment, business meetings, and community gatherings in the Valley and in southern Colorado? When I was here the last time, I decided to change my plans, as I said, and have a conversation about the event center instead of broadcasting these proceedings. And when I was here, I asked the council, why haven't we hired an event manager yet? And the answer that I got was, we don't have a facility at the moment. And my reaction was, well, that's a horrible answer. And I'm not the kind of guy who is critical of people or criticizes things without then coming through with some sort of a suggestion or perhaps an answer to fix whatever it is that I think is a problem. So I never like people that don't offer solutions, so I'm here to offer you some potential solutions and see how we can start. So who am I? Well, right now I'm the general manager of the 3 radio stations here in the Valley, but that's only a small part of what my experience is. I have been doing events and radio programming for many years. For 10 years, I was the program director of the rock station in Denver, KBPI, and I also did events for KBCO, which is another station in Denver owned by the same group. And I also did events for 103.5 The Fox in Denver. In addition to that, in the late 90s and early 2000s, I was the non-traditional revenue director for Clear Channel Radio, turning ski resorts into concert venues and producing concerts and shows in traditional venues like Red Rocks, the Pepsi Center, the Fillmore Auditorium, and the Bluebird Cafe. The reason that we decided to use non-traditional venues instead of traditional venues is because you can control revenue streams that way. Here's a picture that was actually taken at the World Class Rock Fest up in Winter Park when we switched the bottom of the ski run into concert venue. And for my work at Red Rocks, I was recognized by the city of Denver for having done over 40 shows in one summer. I skipped right past this last one. When you're backstage, sometimes you meet people who just can't keep their hands off of you. That's Alyssa Milano. I couldn't help it, but it's just part of the job. So bands that I've promoted in concert over the years, those are pictures from the Rock Festival. Pictured there is Sheryl Crow, ZZ Top, and Eddie Money, and in the middle there is the motorcycles, the thousands of them that came up to Winter Park for our Hog Fest. And so I've got experience doing just about every genre of music you can imagine in just about every shape and size venue. And I have a pretty good working knowledge of how event venues work. So the other thing that I did was for 5 years, I went to Atlanta and worked for the Atlanta Falcons. I was the program director and executive producer for the Falcons radio network. Got to travel with the team, went to England for a game they played in Wembley Stadium. And while I was working for the Falcons, I got to know and work with their owner, Mr. Arthur Blank. He was the founder of Home Depot, sold it off, and decided he was going to then buy the Atlanta Falcons, which he did. And to create one of the world's most beautiful and fan-friendly stadiums in his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, was his goal. And so he started to work on that. After the model was created that you just saw on the last slide, and as the stadium was breaking ground, he put the managerial infrastructure in place to fulfill his vision. He created AMB Sports and Entertainment, and this managerial team was tasked with beginning the work to fill the stadium, basically. So they sold the naming rights to Mercedes-Benz. They went out and bought a soccer team called the Atlanta United, And they, Mr. Blank said within 5 years, we're gonna win the MLS trophy. They signed the NCAA up to play a playoff game in that stadium and a national championship game. And they went out and convinced the NFL to put Super Bowl 53 in that venue. He also had a vision that he wanted to have the best menu pricing in the NFL. So he created a managerial team that came up with the cheapest menu that you could find anywhere in the NFL. I mean, where else are you going to find a hot dog in the NFL for $2 and a slice of pizza for $3? So that was his vision, and he accomplished all of that before construction was complete on the stadium. So he also did it, in fact, before they had plans for their iconic dome stadium. Their iconic roof opens up like a lens aperture. And he did all of that and convinced all those people to come into his venue before actually learning whether or not the roof was going to be functional and if it was going to actually open up. And oh, by the way, the Atlanta United soccer team that he said was going to win within 5 years, they won the championship 2 years later in front of a record crowd of 73,000 people in that venue. If Arthur Blank had waited until his stadium was open to put management in place, he would have lost out on naming rights, a Super Bowl, a national championship, the soccer team, and his menu pricing. So I guess when I found out that we hadn't put any managerial infrastructure in place, that was a little concerning for me. Last year on July 20th, I shot a video of the demolition of the hardest part of the old center. It's been a year. Construction's been moving forward. The event center's been taking shape. It's ready to host Stampede in a week, we think. And my motto is, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. And what you had is no longer good enough. That's a great venue we've got out there, and I believe we've got to attack it differently from a management perspective. Questions I think that you all could be answering right now that will help everybody in terms of what it looks like for that venue. And this is sort of the meat of the presentation, right? What is the vision for the event center? What do we think it's going to accomplish? What would we like to see in there? Who sets the event center policy? Is it the city manager? Is it the city council? Is it the 1% committee? Is it Friends of Sky High? Are you going to sell the naming rights? We know that it's the Sky High Event Center, I guess, but not unlike Denver sold the naming rights to Empower Field at Mile High. Are we going to sell the naming rights? There could be a lot of additional revenue there if you choose to do that. And who makes the decision as to whether or not we're going to sell naming rights? Is the event center going to have a ticketing contract? To me, this is critical because most event centers, when you go in, you can't just sell tickets on your own. They've got a ticketing contract with a ticketing distributor. And the reason they do that is because they control the revenue then. So if somebody buys a ticket to the event, it's not in the hands of the promoter of the event, it's in the hands of the event center itself. And that's critical because what if the event cancels? Then you're at the mercy of the promoter to refund those tickets. What if they break something when they're in your venue? Then you have to bill them and you hope they get paid. This way, it's settlement at the end of the night. If you're controlling all the revenue, you drag out whatever money you want from there and you pay them the rest. I think this is a critical element. Are you going to charge a facility fee? Some venues tack on a facility fee. Could be a percentage of the ticket, could be a flat dollar amount, could be whatever it is, but that facility fee goes into making sure that the infrastructure for the facility stays in place and you have enough of the different things that you need to run a good facility. I can't make this go. Let's see. There we go. Is the event center going to have a food contract? Are you going to sell the right to Domino's or some place to come in and do food for all of the different events? Are you gonna have an alcohol contract? Are you gonna sell to Budweiser or to Coors to have naming rights on the venue and let them pour at the different events where it's appropriate? Is the event center gonna have a beverage contract? Is it gonna be Pepsi or Coke? What are you gonna do? Is the event center gonna have a contract with an internet service provider for Wi-Fi? Quick story. Mr. Blank, when he was putting his stadium together, decided he wanted to have the best facility he could have, and he wanted to make the experience of watching his football team in his stadium better than the experience at home. So he decided he was going to put the Wi-Fi infrastructure in place to where people could sit in their seats, have their phone out, and if a play just happened and they wanted to see the replay, rather than rely on it being on the scoreboard, they post a little link up. You go to that link and you can see the replay on your phone from as many different angles as there are cameras in the stadium. And oh, by the way, if you needed to go to the bathroom and you didn't want to go stand in line, you could look at a link and see how long the bathroom line was from your seat too. I promise you that at Stampede this week, people, they're going to have 3,000, 4,000, whatever the number is, people there. The infrastructure in place right now is going to create for a terrible experience for the people that are there. Because they're all going to be on their phones. They're all going to be wanting to send pictures or text or whatever the case be. The cell tower in that area is going to be completely overrun, and they're going to have a terrible experience of either not being able to make a phone call, not sending a text. You're going to see the little gear turn like crazy. To me, the Wi-Fi part of this is a huge part that you can put out for bid and see who's going to come to the table and do what for your event center. Is the event center going to charge a percentage for merchandise on events? So most of the events that I had to deal with, if I was going to sell a t-shirt, or if an artist was going to come in and sell a t-shirt, we would have to go through the merchandise director at the venue. And the reason they do that is because they charge a percentage. The reason those concert t-shirts are $50 or whatever they are is because the venue takes a percentage out of it, and then there's the cost of the t-shirts and then whatever they want to charge after that. So most venues have a merchandise person who you come in, it's on consignment basically, they give them a number of shirts, at the end of the night they return however many shirts there are, and with money for however many they sold, they balance it out and they move on. In no cases, in the venues that I've been in, have I been able to go in and sell merchandise for $0. Is the event center going to allow renters to control parking and or the ability to charge for it? That's a decision I think that can be made now, and if you are going to allow people that rent the building to charge for parking, is that staff going to be an event center staff, or are they going to have to staff that parking lot themselves? And by the way, that's another revenue stream. Somebody wants to charge $1 to park, or $2 or $5, you can tell them you can do that, but we get 50 cents a car, or $1 a car, or whatever the number is. Is the event center going to invest in infrastructure like a stage, sound, lights, movie screen, projection system, pipe and drape, crowd control stanchions and rope, tables and chairs, electrical extensions for trade shows? All that stuff is infrastructure that most people are going to expect to see. I know that there's some that existed for the old building. I don't know what kind of shape it's in, but how bad would it be if we had a trade show in there and we had the rusted out stanchions and pipe and drape and what have you from the old place? Is the event center going to create guidelines for uniform security that you put in contracts that everybody understands? If I've got 3,000 people showing up, I've got to have X number of uniform security on hand. Is the event center going to have guidelines and a preferred vendor for non-uniform security? I call it t-shirt security, just people that watch doors, that sort of thing. As an event producer, my insurance company wants to know what the suggestion is from the venue and then what I'm doing. So usually, whatever the suggestion is from the venue, I tend to overcompensate and put more security in place. But that's something that I think, these are all questions you all could be answering right now. Is the event center going to provide a box office staff? If you're going to have ticketing, for example, and a ticketing deal, you should have a box office staff that is able to sell tickets on a regular basis, and especially the night of the show, as opposed to relying on whoever's coming in to rent the venue. Is the event center going to have an ice machine? This sounds funny, but it's really one of the biggest deals that there is, because if you don't have an ice machine, the people coming in to produce events are going to spend a ton of money on ice every night. It'd be nice if there was a machine and that could be part of the contract. Is the event center going to have a contract with a janitorial or cleaning service? I assume the city's got that ready to go, but that's something that needs to be put in a contract with anybody who you're going to be doing a deal with. Is the event center going to have a preferred AV vendor? In other words, if you're going to do stage, sound, and lights for any kind of a show you're going to put in there, do you have a preferred vendor, or is the event producer sort of on his own to go find that person? And is the event center going to have a conversion or event staff? In other words, if you've got a craft fair in there on Friday, and on Saturday there's a concert or whatever that's going to be in the venue, who's expected to tear down all those tables and chairs or set up the pipe and drape and all that sort of stuff? Is that going to be expected to be the role of this event manager that you're going to hire, or are you going to have staff that does that? And is the event center going to expect to have credentialed officials allowed into all of the events, and who are they? In other words, if there's an event at the event center, is the 1% committee going to be expected to be allowed to go through there? The Friends of Sky High, the city council, the city manager? What does that look like, and what's the expectation there? We don't have a facility at the moment, is true, but the answers to all of those questions, I think, need to start happening. It's a bad answer. This building has the capability to drive tremendous economic development for the Monte Vista area if it's properly managed. But right now, we should be booking Monte Vista-sized Super Bowls for the venue. What's a Monte Vista-sized Super Bowl? I have an event right now that I'm trying to book. It's an Oktoberfest. It could draw 3,000 people. I've got 20 breweries that are going to hopefully vend or sample over 100 beers, and I got no place to put it right now. And that's an annual event. The managerial timeline for the event center is lagging well behind the construction timeline. That's not good. There's no reason, though, to take a defeatist attitude. We can fix it. It's not hard to do. Suggested next steps. Bring together all the stakeholders. Friends of Sky High, the 1% committee, the city council. Ask them for their thoughts on the major questions posed in this presentation and attempt to reach consensus. Have each stakeholder group create a mission or vision statement for the facility. Using those suggestions, craft a final statement so everybody's on the same page about what the goals are for the venue. Once the vision for the facility is agreed upon, you can then decide what qualities and experiences are important for your event manager, right? If the if the facility's goals are all over the place, well, you know, that's one event manager who maybe does nothing more than fill out forms and put up tables and chairs. If you want to really make this facility something bigger and what it could be, you're looking for a guy who can sell and a guy who knows sort of, or girl, who knows what they need to be doing in there. If he or she is worth their salt, they're going to ask you each of the questions I posed in this presentation during part of their interview process, in an effort to gauge what's expected of them and how much control they're going to have, as well as if they're going to be managing a facility or setting up tables and chairs. Here's my proposed mission statement. Provide Monte Vista with a profitable, top quality venue that is flexible enough to host a variety of events, business meetings, and community gatherings on subsequent days while driving economic development for the community. My goal would be that no family makes weekend plans without first checking the Sky High event calendar to see what the biggest event in town is every weekend. The most expensive elements of events are talent, the venue, and advertising. Imagine the synergies if the Sky High Event Center and the radio stations got together in some sort of a partnership where the only limit was our own creativity. I break it into two things: long-term events that have calendar dates attached to them, and those things would be things like this. A New Year's Eve countdown party with a potato drop at midnight, and maybe you do one earlier in the night for the kids. A Valentine's Day singles party. Big boy toy show where they bring fishing tackle and drones and big boy toys available for people to look at. How about a Taste of the Valley food sampling event? Classic rock and country concerts. Broncos and NFL viewing parties. I've got a sports talk station. I get calls all the time. Where can I go to watch the Bronco game? I want to see an out-of-market game. Is there anybody that has the NFL Sunday ticket? Where can I go watch that? Imagine if that was available every Sunday for people to watch Broncos and every out-of-market game as well. The Rocky Mountain Showdown. There's tons of CSU grads up here, and they're looking for a place to go party when that football game happens. The NHFS network is a video network for high schools. It's really starting to take off. If our teams are playing out of the valley and people can't attend the games, why not open up the event center and show the game on the large screen? How about job fairs? I just did one. I had 20 businesses and 50 job seekers show up with 2 weeks of promotion to try to get a job. We filled quite a few jobs that day. How about a Kidapalooza event? Kidapalooza is an event I've done many times. Basically, you go out and you get every bouncy house you can find. And at this particular one, there was an obstacle course, inflatable zone, live entertainment, jesters, balloons, face painting, live animals, pony rides, large interactive vendor area, food truck battle, beer tent at the kids event, and more. I talked about my Tap the Valley craft beer sampling event. And how about a corporate safe trick-or-treating event where you sell a booth or table to all the corporations, and all the kids then come to the event center and they go to every little different table trick-or-treating, and the bank presidents are there and all the big mayors are there handing out candy to the kids. How about a Christmas craft fair? That's something we could do. And then after those larger events are booked, we could fill in the calendar with what I call quick plan events. These are events that you can plan in 2 months and promote quickly to fill up the calendar, but they're things that people love to do. How about an affordable date night that you throw together and you can have all kinds of entertainment there, or you can show movies, that sort of thing. How about craft fairs? That doesn't take much to put on. How about affordable family movie nights? If you're going to invest in a screen and a projector and a sound system, these work great. You basically get old style movies that the kids have never seen on a big screen, like The Wizard of Oz. You open the doors for free, and parents only have to pay for popcorn and soda and what have you, and all of a sudden you've got a great event. Food Truck Tuesdays works real well. Every Friday or pre-holiday happy hour. So the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, as work is closing, you open the doors and have a big happy hour for everybody. High school dances. These kids don't have a lot to do. It blows me away that they don't have a lot of social activities to get to. How about high school dance? We've done post-prom all-night lock-ins. So after the prom, they come to our venue. We lock the doors, and all night long they've got all kinds of stuff going on there that's safe for everybody and no alcohol. Indoor flea markets. Valley's largest yard sale. These are just a couple of things that you could do in this venue. So, to wrap it up, in my mind, there's only one question that remains. Why is it spelled S-K-I high instead of sky high? I'm new to the Valley. Who can answer that question for me? I didn't think so. Thanks for your time, and remember, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. Questions?
That's a lot of information.
Yes, I recognize that.
Excellent job, thank you. And you're right, it is something that has not been tackled appropriately. And I hope that we can call on your expertise and your input to help solve the problem.
Happy to help however I can.
My only question is, why didn't you come here a year ago and tell us this?
He did.
I don't
I
think,
did.
I don't think you want the
I think
answer
it's
to
right.
it.
He did. He told us a year ago.
It was in jest.
I know, I just assumed that was all in place. And that's my fault for making that assumption.
I didn't do it. No.
Yeah.
Well, very much appreciate your presentation.
Thank
And we will be
Happy to help,
putting a meeting together where we're all, and you can get everybody in.
however I can help. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. Optimistics update and request for support.
I don't know if you want to follow that.
Give me just a second to get your presentation up.
If you'd gone before that, we'd have forgotten about it back. That was that, so, you know.
You're first. Yeah, remind everybody about a year ago.
Stuff like that.
I know.
Oh, I remember.
know, it's-
I remember you saying that.
It's been brought up.
We did like a Bugs Bunny cartoon play one day.
Huh?
So it's gonna be a little Bugs Bunny cartoon at their little.
So you could just use charades and play that?
Bugs Bunny. Do your shadow puppet on the wall.
Yeah. There we go. Close. There we go. You're gonna work with your
Did you guys have this in a PowerPoint presentation?
I don't,
Okay.
fortunately.
I'm not sure if the clicker will work. If not, let me know and I'll let one of you come over here and you can hit the slides.
So I think you can just keep up too, because we're going.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I want to thank you for allowing the Optimistic Citizens Action Network to make our quarterly follow-up update this evening. I'm Adam Locke, a Monte Vista resident. Presenting with me this evening is my compatriot and co-founder of the Optimistics, Ken Hanco, also, of course, a Monte Vista resident. Tonight, we want to bring you up to date on what the Optimistics have accomplished, where we're headed, and if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask us at the end of this presentation.
There you go. And who we are, we've already talked about that, but who we are, we're a group of citizens formed to facilitate positive change. That's an important piece there. So,
And we've redefined our mission statement since last year to better kind of define our intent and focus. The mission statement is, of course, a key part, and it's at the core of our nonprofit organization, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little later.
okay, this shows some of the time frames of some of the things that the fundamentals, some of the things we've accomplished since we began last February talking about this, all the way up through the planning of this August microbrew festival. So we'll take a look at some of that stuff.
The next three slides are going to show details on one of the accomplishments was getting the new lights installed on Adams Street. This is part of phase one of the revitalization efforts for downtown Monte Vista. We're really indebted to San Luis Valley Rural Electric, City of Monte Vista, and several other organizations for aiding us in the installation of the lights. If you haven't been downtown at night to see them, we strongly recommend that you do so.
Next couple of slides, you see this is the installation of the lights, and some of you were out there to see that. Next slide shows some of the buildings. We have not got all the buildings online yet. We do have a local electrician that's going to work with us, go into these buildings and find out. Some of the people don't even know where their switch is. So we're going in, but if you haven't been downtown at night, you should go downtown and look at these buildings that are now lit up. And that was phase one of our what do we call it?
Our project.
Our
It's been
project.
really interesting poking around the back end of a lot of these buildings downtown too. Amazing what you see back there. I thought I'd seen. The next slide, of course, is covering our Cinco de Mayo cultural celebration on Adams Street.
with the aid of a huge list of people and organizations, again, including the city of Monte Vista. This celebration was a great success, and it was a real shot in the arm for our local businesses and vendors. We completely sold out the vendor spaces. We even had the Colorado Department of Public Health participating. They showed up, of course, with a vaccine bus, and resulted in our event being recognized at the state level by Governor Polis.
These are just some of the pictures of the event. To me, one of the biggest things, of course, is the exchange of money and camaraderie and et cetera, so forth. But if you look down Adams Street, I have never, in the 6 years that I've lived here, seen Adams Street so active. It was amazing.
The Optimistics are pleased to report that we are now actually an official 501c3 nonprofit organization. Earlier this year, we were offered the opportunity to assume an existing nonprofit, LBA Inc. The mission statements of our organization, and they're very closely matched, so it was a near perfect fit for the Optimistics. And the next slide shows, of course, our certificate of fact of good standing with the state of Colorado. So we're pleased that we're now official.
And we're good to go. Our next big event will be the 21st of August. We're planning a brew festival. We have partnered with the Poor Boys Car Club, and they've got probably well over 100 cars now coming in. So we'll have vendors, breweries, kids things to do, a car show, judging of car shows. Thank you, Mayor, for volunteering to be a judge on the car show. So it's going to be hopefully a huge event in August, that Saturday in August. So.
There's a lot of other things going on that weekend
And
too.
Chief is
Chief has volunteered. We've got the Amish fundraiser dinners that Friday night, the American Art Fair is going on, the farmers market. Ken and I both, of course, worked on the tourism marketing committee with the chamber, and we're going to be billing this real heavy as a weekend to come to Monte Vista, not just Saturday for the stuff, but come spend the weekend, stay in our hotels, eat at our restaurants, enjoy yourself, go to the beer fest, look at the car shows. It's going to be the weekend, the way we see it, to be here in town. Of course, we continue to grow as a group. We're very active on social media. We've jumped up from around 50 to over 114 members in our Facebook group now. We're maintaining an up-to-date website, 36,000 total page views in 10 months. We're pretty happy with that. Our weekly meetings are growing too, continuing to draw more people. I would say that this guy from the radio station, he's there at the meetings. Very pleased to have him on board, working with us, networking, and there's a lot of other great people who showed up too. So what we're doing is gaining a lot of traction, and we're very happy about that.
definitely. We continue to partner with Downtown Colorado Inc., the Colorado Office of Tourism, the City of Monte Vista, of course, and the Chamber of Commerce in all of our events and our future events.
You've had some good contact with some people too recently.
Yeah, we've also, since we are a 501c3 now, we will have the ability to go out and try to get grants to continue our revitalization of Adams Street. And we've made contact with DOLA. We've made contact with a few other Main Street, which is out of the governor's office, a revitalization program. They're releasing about $9.4 million to rural towns for facade redo, downtown redo, et cetera, so forth. So we're going to meet next week on that and see where we go on that particular grant.
Okay. The Pirate Pride Cleanup Day, huge success this year, and we were really proud to be a very small part of what was going on with that, along with RG Bank, of course, again, the City of Monte Vista School District. I wanted to add, too, that RG Bank President Sean Davis, he's been a wonderful person to work with. He really has a heart for our town, the efforts toward revitalization, and we really appreciate his being involved in what we're doing. And, of course, it's the pictures that we took of what was going on. An amazing effort by the school district for cleanup day, and it just so happened it was the day before our Cinco de Mayo event, so the streets looked great for the event.
And as you know, Council, last year when we met, we presented our entire plan, and you helped us and supported us and set aside $5,000 in the city money to help us achieve our goals. And by the way, that'll help us in our grant efforts between that and the chamber allocation that we have, and the money that we're getting from these events will help us as we go out. A lot of the grants require matching funds.
You know, as we mentioned a few slides back, we're continuing to work with and partner with DCI. Executive Director Kat Correll, she's been a wealth of knowledge and information for us. We've even attended some of DCI's events in other towns around the valley. And we've come to the point where we realize now that we're an official nonprofit, we decided this week actually, we're going to join as a nonprofit group, which of course is going to open up even more opportunities for us to move forward.
Yeah, at one point, I know you guys, the city was on board with DCI and then they opted out. And at one point, I was on board with the fact that they were a lot of fluff and they did a lot of talking. Well, by golly, they still do a lot of talking, but they have been a wealth of information for us. And without even being a member, she's been able to share so many different things with the optimistics to move us forward and where we are now.
Yeah, and they asked whether we compile kind of a list of what's happened, who has helped us along the way. It was amazing. We threw together a spreadsheet, and the financial value alone was in the tens of thousands of dollars. So we're certainly indebted to everybody who's been a part of our effort, and we're looking forward to seeing the numbers continue to grow over time.
Sure. One of the things that DCI recommended that the city and the city's people have skin in the game, so to speak. And so, and Adam did most of the work on this, but did a spreadsheet that shows everybody that's been participating in these events, everybody that's donated something, donated time, everybody that's been a part of all of our events. And if you actually apply dollars to that, a good portion of our city has skin in the game. And that is when you go out for a grant, you present that and they go, wow, the city is really on board with this, let's do it. So that's what we're hoping. Yeah. So tonight also, if you see on your agenda, one of the things we're asking is, again, for the city support. This time not financially, but a letter of support from the city that we can include in our grant proposals. As we spoke with DCI and others, it's important. We're going to do a letter from the chamber. We're going to do a letter from, hopefully you'll approve this letter this evening, and those will go out with our grant applications and hopefully open bigger windows for us. So we hope you'll move forward and sign that, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, that's it. A quick update. Thank you for your attention to the presentation. We continue interest in our revitalization efforts and projects, and we certainly welcome any questions at this time.
So you already have a letter drafted?
Yes, we do.
It's down.
Ms. Anita has it.
It's down the back of the wall.
Yeah, that letter is also in your packet, Mr. Mayor and Council. Tonight, if you choose to, I just need a motion for approval on that and for the mayor to be able to sign that letter.
Thank you very much.
I actually have a question, maybe I don't know this already. You said that the weekend of the micro
Brew
fest
Mm-hmm.
is the weekend in Monte Vista,
Yes.
and I know that you mentioned the Amish dinner.
Mm-hmm.
What else going on that weekend?
There's the Amish dinner on Friday. There's a Native American art fair Friday, Saturday, Sunday downtown. The Friday Art Walk is, or the third Friday Art Walk is Friday. The Farmers Market. The Jeep, Colorado 4x4 people are talking about doing some type of rendezvous that weekend. We spoke with, oh goodness, Jim Clare, the motorcycle group. They're talking about doing a poker run that weekend. And there are other events too. People we've talked to said, this might be a good weekend to do something. We've also, by the way, secured transportation. I just talked today with the gentleman again, who's going to be offering transportation back and forth on Saturday between the Brewfest and downtown Monte Vista. We have a small fee for that. That's how he makes his money, to shuttle people back and forth.
So you even arranged a
And there's shuttle service. Yep.
And Friday night also mentioned that Central is doing their end of summer party out of the park. So there is a lot of things going on in the valley. And so we can bring people down here hopefully, and they'll stay for the whole weekend.
That means I have to know what page I'm on now.
Down at the bottom, it says. Cause that's what page. Yeah, is that cute?
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Do we need to read this letter out loud, or?
Probably resolutions would be what else. You wanna do it now? You wanna do it resolutions?
Hmm?
Is that a resolution in section J, or do we do it now?
It is actually not a resolution, it would just be a letter of support.
Okay. Well, I commend the optimistics in what they have accomplished and what they have done and their vision for the future, and would move that the mayor sign the proposed letter.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded to give this letter of support to the optimistics and the mayor sign. Is there any discussion? Anita?
Counselor Locke,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Segola,
Aye.
Counselor Foster,
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the mayor to sign the support letter for the optimistics.
We appreciate what you guys have done
Yep, thank you.
very much. Okay. Citizen comments. City council welcomes your unscheduled comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and council will not take action at this meeting. Anybody? Jim? Come on up. Be sure and sign that paper up there on that podium, Jim.
Okay, my name is Jim Poston. I live at 47 Adams Street, apartment 1 here in Monte Vista. And I am also president of the Monte Vista Band Boosters, for the high school and the middle school. And we are having our fundraiser hamburger fry as part of the Stampede Parade a week from Saturday. I found out yesterday that there's probably some paperwork involved with this, but we are only requesting the block off of Adams Street by the Sunflower Bank, the regular place. We've got reserved, we've got the okay from the bank. And we should only need the grill and the sidewalk area blocked off. Band director Pascal has requested the alumni of Monte Vista of all ages, to bolster the bands, both middle school and high school, and proposed music is Easy and Director Pascal will be available. I understand that Chief Jake Fowler is the acting city manager, so I want to include him in the block off of a portion of Adams Street. So, any questions, any comments?
Oh, look forward to that hamburger.
Same price, $7, hamburger, drink, cookie, and a bag of chips.
Saturday during the Stampede Parade.
I got to see the
So-
inventor's submitted
Yeah.
video. He did a very good job on it.
Okay, thank you.
The social media video that he put out, was very good.
Okay, thank you.
Rob, go ahead.
So, council, just so you know, this has been done pretty much several years. What happens is they go ahead and they leave Adams Street, the 100 block of Adams Street from First Avenue down to Second closed while they have this hamburger fry. We usually know about it a little bit more in advance. This year was kind of late, so I asked Jim to come to council and make sure that it's still okay with everybody. But it has been done in years past. I don't think anything's changed, but it's just we leave the barricades on that section of Adams up after the parade.
How much longer after the parade?
Usually until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
And you guys put it,
We put the barricades up, sir.
it's not a big lift for the city.
Thank you.
Hey, do we usually reach out to the businesses in that area and let them know?
They usually do.
It's, yeah, the band usually does, right?
Yeah, the band usually does. That's why I said, in years past, it's usually done a little earlier. But I think if they get after it, they can probably get that done before next weekend.
It's tradition.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna go against the commission. I get fired from my job.
Goes back to the question I had for you the other day, chief.
Do you usually put the road closure on the city website and then put it on social media as well to let people know? Is that a tradition to you?
We can do that. We haven't done it in years past. It's just always been kind of Adams Street stays closed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Oh, we'll put something on.
we can do that.
Have any more any other citizen comments?
Hello, Mayor, Council,
Yeah.
happy to be here.
Crowd goes wild.
I'm just happy to be here, thank you, sir. I have to say, Bob, I had no idea an event planner did that much. That just blew my mind. So, wow, I'm excited. I think this is gonna be awesome. And I have one good thing, the Valley Publishing Building, I guess it's the guys with the Jeeps are in there. What a magnificent job they've done with that building. Not only painted, fixed the windows, put in new doors. I mean, I would drive past it every day and I'm going, well, yay for you guys. They have done a really good job. So I just want to put that out. As opposed to our diesel people across the street. Once again, dumpster is gone, trash is on the ground. Just thought I'd let you know. It's like, I don't know, some people I guess never learn. And then the other question I had, if I need to talk to the ordinance person, how do I get a hold of him?
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. See? Excuse me, sir. I just need to talk to you for a minute. Okay?
Sounds good.
But when we call, can we just call the city if we have an issue with something or a question?
Call dispatch, the state patrol dispatch, is who we're dispatched out.
Okay,
589 5807.
580.
Or if you want to dial a Monte Vista extension, you can dial 852 515 or 51111.
Thank you. Because I had a question last week and I didn't know who to contact. Thank you very much.
He's dispatched through state patrol dispatch.
Okay, thank you very much. Guys, keep up the good work and we got a big job ahead to get all this going. It's gonna be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot.
Fabulous. Okay, this is.
Carla, did you have anything?
She'll fill in the gaps that I missed.
Okay. Looks like we're gonna move right on down to ordinances. Ordinance 909, amending section 12-17-80, adding fence regulations, second and final reading.
Good evening, council. So before you is ordinance 909. You heard ordinance 909 back on the June 17th meeting. And then it was published in the paper, and it is before you again this evening for the second reading. As requested by council, we added the setback, the sidewalk setback, and the right-of-way setback. So tonight before you is the second reading for your either approval, denial, or whatever council chooses to do on that.
39.
It surprises me that there's not the people that were at the last couple of meetings here, because I've had several conversations with some about the 2-foot setback from a public sidewalk, and some of them were upset about that, because now we're on their property.
And Mr. Mayor, I've also had a few phone calls in regards to that as well. So as you, I am surprised that those folks aren't here this evening.
Well, no ordinance is gonna be perfect. Or please everybody. But I think we've put a lot of work into this to figure out the best way to make it safe and least invasive. So I would move to approve ordinance 909 on its second reading.
I think we're gonna have a lot of discussion on that 2-foot setback when it comes to it. Yes, you're right. You can't make an ordinance to make everybody happy.
Seconded.
So you need a second to have more discussion?
So it's been moved and seconded. Now we can have more discussion.
Now you can have more discussion. Mr. Mayor, I will actually speak against the ordinance as it's written. I have put some thought into this, and I have had people contact me as people have contacted other people here. And I think we have taken the approach that if the only tool you have is a hammer, then the whole world looks like a nail. We have applied a standard to we built this thing based on a 6-foot fence, which was what the issue was, and applying that to smaller fences doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. If you're going to build a 2-foot fence in your yard, now you're subject to setting this thing back 2 feet, even though that is not the issue we were trying to solve. The issue we were trying to solve was visibility, and we will never be able to write an ordinance that completely addresses every situation unless we want to make it like 700 pages long. I'm not in favor of that, by the way. I think that we need to put into place, I think we need to address it in terms of visibility rather than a fixed setback, and actually put the power into the person who authorizes the fence to make the judgment call on whether or not it inhibits visibility and line of sight. I think we can give them some recommendations on how it should be figured, but to take a one-size-fits-all approach, I don't think it's going to be successful. And so I would actually speak against it in its current form.
Would it be possible to, and this is like, cause I don't wanna put our city staff in a situation where they're having to case by case and, you know, Betty gets mad because Dorothy got her fence the way she wants it, and Betty thinks it's the same way she wants it, and the city approved one of it. So that's a whole big thing. Could we go with an approach, maybe, if you have a 2-foot fence, no setback, if you have a 4-foot fence, no setback, you want a 6-foot fence, now you have a setback. And then that puts it in the property owner's control of, okay, if I want this, then this is what I have to do. If I don't wanna have to do that, then I can do this. Would that solve the problems?
So, council and mayor, I can tell you that, doing the research to write this ordinance, fence ordinances don't typically go by feet, 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet. You can do this, you can do that. It's an overall fence ordinance. And part of the reason that, and you had all asked me to take that out, was if you're building a fence, a 6-foot fence, and you're coming out to your property line, that was the reason for the decline of the fence from a 6-foot down to 4 feet, for visibility clearance, and that was actually asked to be removed. You know, it's up to you as all as council to direct staff. We'd be more than happy to go back and do more research on this as well, and I know Rob has some more information on fences as well. But that is not a problem if that's something that you all want us to do.
I as well, I think that, I think what Councilor Foster said, actually makes a lot of sense. I think we need to revisit this issue and do a lot more research on it and stuff. I think it's just, and he's absolutely right, one size doesn't fit all. I completely agree with that. I think we can do a lot more research and bring you back some better options. Yeah, and that would be my recommendation.
Rob?
Totally agree with that. Some of the things that I've heard, but I haven't heard anybody really discuss, front yard, side yard, and rear yard fences are usually different. Front yard is usually ties into the side yard by that tiered thing, and one of the things that nobody's talked about as far as visibility is what's called opacity. Generally, front yard fences have at least a 50% opacity thing, and I think if we put that into an ordinance, I think that would be a lot better. It makes more of a picket fence where you can see through, and you can't actually start a privacy fence until about 13 to 14 foot onto your property. But by doing a 2-foot setback, you're in essence creating no man's land. Technically, on most right-of-ways, the back of the sidewalk is the edge of the right-of-way, and it's actually somebody's property from there on. So you're denying somebody the use of their property. I would caution against doing a 2-foot setback.
Did you have something, Victor?
No, I kind of agree with Larry and the whole visibility thing, you know, and also Chief and the whole, yeah, it's a tough resolution.
It's hard to find a solution that allows the property owner to have full discretion to make their own choices, whether we like them or not, and still address the safety issue. But if we put some more time and some more research into it, maybe we can find that golden answer.
We have a motion and a second. So we'll call for the vote. Anita?
Councilor Locke,
Nay.
Mayor Pro Tem Segala,
Nay.
Councilor Foster,
Nay.
Mayor Becker.
Nay.
Motion to approve ordinance 909 fails with a vote of nay and unanimously.
We need a motion to direct us to go
Yes.
back and research.
Actually, we don't need a motion, we just need,
So let's go back and then.
okay, will do, thank you.
thank you staff for what you guys do, like it's,
We'll try to get that back for you, by the end of August.
Should have it at the end of the August meeting.
Yeah, we should
last
come
meeting.
back to you before the end of August, at the end of August. Or the new city manager, right?
I don't know that there's a great emergency. Everything that's out there now is pretty well grandfathered in. None of this was gonna be retroactive anyway, so. I'd rather get it done right than fast,
Yes.
although fast is preferable as well. I'm not taking fast off the table.
It's government, it never moves fast. All right, contracts, agreements, leases, discussion on events coordinator.
Well, I wanna kinda get the discussion started on this. I think Bob's, presentation, kinda sheds light on where we need to be with this and where we need to get moving on this quickly. I know Forrest had done a little bit on this. I've already got our HR director working on a job description on this. However, after seeing Bob's presentation, we got a lot of work to do. And what I'm going to suggest is that I believe, Nita, when do we have the 1 cent committee meeting? Is that,
That 1 cent committee meeting is going to be, July 21st at 6 p.m.
so I don't think we can get everybody together that soon. However, we're gonna still have that meeting with 1 cent committee just to catch them up to date on, which is next Wednesday. That doesn't work for a lot of us because of Stampede and stuff that's going on. However, at the first opportunity the following week, I'll have, we'll try and get a meeting with 1 cent, Sky High, Friends Sky High, 1 cent committee, and us to, have a discussion and get Bob in here. I'm just looking at my calendar as early as like the 26th or 27th, somewhere in there. Get us all in the room and we can really get this hashed out and get moving forward. Because we just need to get it, all we need to do is get the job description. Once we come up with the vision, get the job description and then get it out there and start getting somebody hired. I know it's been budgeted, it's been budgeted for that, but that ties into the next, topic on the agenda is the economic development. This is my opinion, and I'm brand new at this. You guys know that you guys appointed me a week ago to do this, but I really think those two issues, the Sky High event coordinator and the economic development, really tie in a lot, and I think that's something that we really need to have a discussion on. And do we want to combine those? Do we want to hire 2 people? But I really think in order to make this effective, they really kind of have to tie in one way or another, because they literally go hand in hand. And I think this here, the Sky High project, really is kind of our way into more economic development, and we can really leverage everything that we do around the Sky High project for economic development. Can you?
Well, just a comment on the job description is there's several different conference, convention, catering centers out there, and it's very easy to obtain their job descriptions, and so rather than reinvent the wheel.
Right, so we've already, Mr. Gill, Bob Gill, our HR director, has already reached out to all of his contacts and stuff like that. Again, I think this really exactly starts with what Bob said, is what is the vision? And we need to get us all in that room and say, what is the vision? Because I think every single one of us, everybody in this room, well, other than Bob's presentation, kind of has a little bit different vision of what the vision is for this facility. And until we get that, I don't think we can really move forward with anything until we get that vision hammered out on what it is. So I'm going to invite Bob definitely to that meeting, and I actually asked Carla to attend this because I wanted her to see that presentation. You know, I mean, Carla's obviously instrumental in Friends of Sky High, but I think we have got to get that out, and I, no later than the first week of August do I want to get this posted. You know, we get the job description written after we come up with the vision, get it, and then we get it posted and start taking the applications, and then we get a committee of citizens, 1 cent, people like Bob to help us hire this person. I don't know very much about event planning, but we've got experts in the city that do, so we need to have them involved in this process. That's my recommendation. Carla?
Just as a side note, I know that Bob has an event planned, and he's gotta find a place to put it. I don't want him to take it to Alamosa, so I'd really like if the answers that he needs could be gotten to him in time for him to plan his event.
So, do you wanna speak, do you wanna speak a little bit? We had a meeting where we started really kind of discuss this. It was a different meeting we were at, but we kind of didn't, I think we were, I don't remember who all was there. Anyway, we had this discussion about this, but we agreed, and we actually have a plan for that I feel that we're comfortable enough to start scheduling stuff for the first week of August, or October, just based off of the way we're moving with the building, and that, we're working on the TCO, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But I'm comfortable, I think, at this point. And here's the deal, at the end of it, I don't want Bob to be out a lot, but we're gonna miss out on some opportunities real quick here if we don't start getting it scheduled and planned and stuff. And just based off of talking with the contractors and stuff, and I'll let Carla speak a little bit more to that. But I'm comfortable with, I think, for the most part, not 100%, nothing's 100%, right? Other than taxes and death. But I'm comfortable to start scheduling stuff for I would say the latest, the second week of October. Carla?
Thank you, Council. Thanks, Chief. I'm gonna go back in my notes, but as I recall, when Friends came before council and made the presentation to move forward with the building, it was with the vision that Bob presented. It wasn't for just the events here. It was with the greater vision that we do develop new, bigger events. We wanted that thing busy weekly. And I'll go back and look at that PowerPoint, but I know that was in that PowerPoint, that it's the same as Bob is talking about. I mean, there's no sense of building actually that thing's gonna be $9 million by the time we get done. And, I appreciate, the gentleman who built the Atlanta Stadium, but he was a private individual and had money. The thing we here in the San Luis Valley, the city had no money. And I'm just gonna say, if it wasn't for Friends, we'd still have a old, worn out building that was about to fall down. And so taking the lead, here we had to fundraise. We will have a building, and it's gonna be debt-free. I think people also need to consider that. The city will have no debt on that building by the time we get done. So that has to be mixed into the calculation. We're working on a plan. I visited briefly with Chief. What we need to is talk about is furniture, rec equipment. Part of, when we got into this, Friends' role was to build the building and furnish the conference center. It was then up to the city. They were gonna take care of the recreation part of the equipment. Former manager and finance director had no communication with us on what they were anticipating for recreation equipment. We've since been working with Chief and some other staff. We're trying to put together a budget. We are working on a plan. Hopefully we can address that issue, because there's no sense of having a big empty building there with no equipment that people can't use. So we've got to address that issue, and I feel we have a good sound plan to move forward. But again, it all comes down to funding and how we go about that. But I'm pretty confident we can get that done so that we can all be up and running. And I applaud Bob. I think that'd be a great event. and to move forward with. I mean, if we're gonna have Stampede and the fair, there's no sense why we can't have an event that he's proposing. We might have to use co-op tables, but I think that was, nothing wrong with that. But we can get there. It's just gonna take time. And yes, we do need an event planner, and that was in the whole vision of the whole project from day one, that it would be that way at some point. And I tried visiting with former management about policies and all that, but there's only so much friends can do as well. So as far as pushing, we don't have a stick in the game. But anyway, no, I think we got a great team. Well, I look forward to the conversation. I think we're all on the same page. It's just getting us all in the room and talk and moving in the right direction.
So with that, we'll have Anita try and schedule a meeting with friends, 1 cent. You guys, of course, are more than welcome to be there. We'll try and do that for 26th or 27th, somewhere right in that time frame. I mean, like immediately after Stampede, and let's get this moving. And there's no sense in dragging our feet anymore. Let's just get moving and get things done. So, any other questions on that? Again, I really think that we have to tie the economic development piece into that. And we can definitely look at budget. I know there's already a budget for an event coordinator. That's already built in there. But I think we need to look at budget and see if we can, I don't know if we want to combine those two or separate them. I don't know. I mean, that's, I'm in no way an expert in this, but that's what I'm kind of looking for guidance and people in the community or whoever that are willing to give us some thoughts, and we'll take any and all comments and advice on this. So that's why I think if we have this conversation sooner than later on the 26th, 27th, we can really get a lot of this hashed out and bring it back to you guys with our time.
Can I ask one last question? Who is in charge?
As far as,
Like, there's gotta be a head of this, somebody that is saying, let's make a decision, let's do this, so there's gotta be like a chairman of Sky High
okay,
that is in charge. Because right now it looks like,
you're about 2 steps ahead of me when I do my briefing. I was going to talk about, I guess I'll do it now. So when council appointed me, I knew there was some communication issues between Sky High, Friends of Sky High, the city, 1 Cent Committee, and all that. First thing I did Monday morning when I walked in, reorganized our involvement and the way that we're managing the Sky High project specifically. I've never built a building. I've been involved in minorly when I was with State Patrol. So I put the city expert that probably should have been there in the first place. I put Rob Vance. Rob has a ton of knowledge. Everybody from Sky High and everybody said, Rob Vance, we want to work with Rob. So Rob is working directly with Carla, our architect, and Elcon to get this project done. And so that's the communication circle there, those 4. They are daily, that there's meetings, and just this week, I feel pretty comfortable that we've moved a lot along this week, but they're constantly in communication with each other. As far as who's in charge, I think it just depends on, ultimately, it's going to come back on the city, right? If a decision has to be made, and by all means, I'll make the decision. I'm going to, of course, take input from everybody, whether it be a citizen or everybody, because that's the right thing to do, and then have to make an informed decision. But I'm going to do it after getting all the input, and but we're also not going to drag our feet. When it comes to it, if a decision has to be made, it's going to be based off of gathering of good evidence, good information, and then I'll make a decision. Plain and simple.
You go, chief.
you have to be on the committee.
You're putting fast back on the table, I like
Yeah.
that.
Well, you're right, it does need to be done. Totally.
And I agree that the events coordinator and the economic developer, now whether they're one entity that does both, or what, But yes, that needs to work together, because we've got this beautiful event center that's gonna bring a lot of people into town. To help our local businesses, we need to bring those people there, events center, we need to get them downtown too. I think that OCAN, the Optimistic Citizens Action Network, has given us in their presentation, they gave us a small bite of what that could mean to the whole city. I mean, they've taken one weekend and they've looked up everything that's going on that weekend, and instead of focusing on that event, they've focused on the others. They've even put a shuttle in place. So, granted, that's not as big as Sky High and the entire city of Monte Vista, but that's a small idea of how it should work. You take everything that's going on and you put it all together.
That's why we are behind the 8 ball with an event manager. That we need that event manager to get this going. After seeing Bob's presentation, we should be booked up for at least a few months.
Sure.
We really should.
But we really need that event center to also help our downtown businesses.
Oh, right, absolutely.
And the city itself will give them a lot of revenue.
That's why I say it's so key that those two positions, the event center manager and the economic developer, have got to be closely connected and tight. And I think the other part of this is having some discussions with Carla and Carla, the Carla Show, two of the most brilliant people I know, by the way, is we have to really leverage the other communities from across the valley and get them involved in this. Alamosa, and because this has been said time and time again, this is not just Monte Vista. We are blessed to have this facility in our city, but it's a valley-wide event center, and we've got to get the other, reach out to those other communities and say, hey, Alamosa especially, they've got all the hotels, right? There's no reason we shouldn't be having daily discussions. The event center manager and the economic developer having daily discussions with Alamosa going, what can you bring here? You're going to benefit as well as us. We're all going to benefit by bringing in a 500-person convention or whatever. Alamosa's going to get a lot of the overflow from the hotels. Del Norte might get some of that. But we have to have those conversations and really get that and get everybody working together, not just Monte Vista or whatever, because we're all going to benefit from this.
May I add something? And just to add to that point, the way this project was sold to our various funders is that this is a regional use project, that it is valley-wide who benefits. And if you look at our donation list, I mean, we have people from San Luis, La Jera, Saguache, all 6 counties have donated to this project. So it is not a Monte Vista project.
Right.
This is definitely a valley-wide project, and we need to remember that when we talk about it. This is a regional use project, and that's what has impressed so many of our funders, that we, the valley, have come together, and basically our finances, 75% of it's come from the valley in some manner, whether it be foundation, business, civic group, individual, and 25% has come from out of valley. But everyone, and that would have been a better ratio other than COVID hurt. Some of our outside foundations were gonna pledge more, but because they went to humanitarian needs, they cut back on us. But that's neither here nor there, but anyway, this has to be sold as a regional use complex. Because that's where our funding has come from too.
And by that, I think we start with having some involvement from the other cities and ideas from them on the event center manager and the economic developer and that. Because the only thing we all stand to is gain from this. Every one of the communities. Yes, sir.
The meeting on the 26th and the 27th, are we going to be looking at getting people from Alamosa and different counties?
Yeah, I was literally thinking like that. I was sitting just thinking as Carl was speaking that, hey man, we need to invite somebody from the city of Alamosa because they can be a great asset to this. Whether it be, Kathy Woods is the economic developer over there, and she's also a friend of Sky High. She'd be a perfect person to have. We can double up on that and have Kathy Woods here. So yes, we're thinking like there.
Could I make a small recommendation on that? That maybe before we involve the other communities, we have some of our ducks in a row. Because we really don't even have a vision yet. We don't even have where the equipment's coming from. We don't have, do we have new pipe and draping? Do we have this? Do we have that? And so then we bring these people in and we're gonna look not so good, like we're not on top of things yet. I think that we need to take that step by step, have some of that stuff in place, and then invite these people to say, okay, how are you going to bring business to us?
Right. The only thing I would say to that, Ken, is their vision, knowing that this is a regional center, may not exactly be the same as, like I said, we've got 20 people in the room, we've got 20 different visions. I think we're all fairly close, but especially like Alamosa, I mean, Kathy Woods is probably gonna be here anyway, because which is good, but letting them have that say in that vision, because I think their vision may be they might have some different ideas, so I think having them as a part of that conversation about the vision would be beneficial. I totally understand what you're saying, because we can get this too big too quick. We need to keep it kind of a little more narrowly focused to a group. But I think the major players in this really should kind of have that's my opinion, should have a say in what that vision is. I don't know, I may be way off basis.
Well, I think we're on the right track.
We'll get that meeting scheduled.
So that's just we don't need like anything just to get that set up, right? Just,
We'll get that
Because-
set up for as a work session.
okay.
Yeah, because
Oh,
of having us all there.
Okay.
What do you think
I missed
about-
that work session part of that.
What do you think involving the tourism board, both city and county, in that as well, because this is a tourist draw?
Yeah.
Yeah, only, I guess kind of to Ken's point on this, I don't want us to get bogged down with overthinking, and bringing too many people in, and I agree, the tourism board is very valuable, but,
That's four people.
but you're right, I think, I don't wanna get it too big that we get bogged down arguing about what the vision is. Well, Bob wrote a pretty good vision. Take that and tweak it a couple of things, maybe one or two words, and let's move forward and hire an event manager and get this thing moving.
All right, let's do that.
Carla or Nita will send out she'll get that set up, and we're gonna get moving on this. Any other discussion?
You ready to give your report, or is that all?
Sure. Well, I gave half of it already.
As the interim city manager.
Since we're there, I'm just gonna do the PD and interim. So obviously, I already discussed the reorganization of the Sky High project. That just needed to happen for a lot of reasons, just to get us all, so that there was a clear line of communications and who's communicating who. Rob keeps me involved in up to date on everything. I don't need to be in the weeds on that. That's Rob's job to do. Rob understands it, and Rob's good at it. As well as we had that discussion, Carla's got to be actively involved in this, because Friends obviously raised a ton of money and had a lot of say in this, so they need to be actively involved. And of course, our architect, Mark Thompson from Alcon. So those are really kind of the four key people in getting this project completed. And after coming in new to this, I have all the confidence in the world that this is going to happen, and it's going to be on time and everything that needs to happen, because we got four of the best people possibly doing it. So totally comfortable with that. Talked to hiring events manager. We did hire an interim finance director, Anita Kinsey, who will start early next week. She starts Monday. We have to get her up to speed a little bit. She has a ton of finance background in nonprofits, but we got to get her up to speed on some of the governmental stuff. She come highly recommended from people that know the finance industry, And we've got a plan in place. We're gonna bring a couple different people in to help her, get her up to speed on the governmental aspect of it. And again, she's the interim. Whoever you guys hire as the new city manager will get to make that final decision on who the finance director is. So we've got a good plan in there, and I'm gonna get them some training immediately so that we get everything up to speed and we know exactly where we are with finances. So I'm meeting with Debbie Phillips next week, who has filled in interim for a lot of different places as finance director, and she's gonna come in and help get some training to them. There is a letter in your packet regarding National Night Out. I also sent an email. Would love to have council participate in that. It is August 3rd from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. out here in Chapman Park. I've sent this out to all the media and stuff. Did I send it out? No, I haven't sent it out. I think I sent a schedule intent. It'll come to you soon. The letter on that. I didn't want to send it out too early because if it went out there too early, people forget. So it's coming to all the. I do need to get your email to go freely. So anyway, there will be a press release going out inviting the community. We'll have burgers, hot dogs. We got Officer Robbie Martinez has put a lot of work in this. We got a lot of groups that want to participate. Council Foster's Church is going to be there. I don't know if the Optimistics going to be, but there's a lot of people that have asked to be there with different things, law enforcement agencies and everything. So that'll be a fun event. I have not participated in it, but everybody always talks so highly of National Night Out that it's a lot of fun. We will be cooking burgers and hot dogs and have water and stuff there. So there'll be a ton to do for the kids. Dylan Brown Insurance Agency is going to bring a bunch of stuff. So and anybody that knows Dylan can put a show together. So we're going to have him there. Let's see. So August 7th and 8th, our community service officer, Manuel Lopez, has done a ton of work on this. And we had a discussion a while ago. When I lived in Manassas years ago, we used to do, it was at least once a year where we teamed with either a vet or something like that and brought in a spay and neuter clinic at a very reduced rate, and then also the vaccines. I've literally had people say, I've asked people, why haven't you registered your dogs? It's very expensive to register your pets. Not to register, to get them their vaccines. It's like $80, $90 to get your dog vaccinated. So he's worked with Connor Animal Shelter for a reduced spay and neuter clinic and vaccination event. And what I'm going to ask of you is we want to have him there at that event, so as soon as they get their animal, their dog vaccinated, they can literally walk right over to the next table and register the dog with the city. But I'm asking if just for that 2-day period, if we can waive the fee. It's $7 to register your dog, but this is just a good way to get people to register their dog. I mean, we have no idea how many of we'd be out $7. I don't know how many. I mean, they're going to be coming from the county and all over, but I'm just going to ask council to waive that fee for just that event to register your dog, because it'll help us so much in encouraging people to get their animals vaccinated and spayed and neutered, as well as then getting them registered with the city.
I would be fine with that.
So I'll actually ask for a motion on that, but that's up to you guys. Just for that 2-day, and it's August 7th and 8th. And where's it at, Manuel?
That is still to be determined. They've got a place, but they don't want it out.
Right. So
I would move to approve no cost of the registration fee for those 2 days.
for August 7th.
Second
that. It's been moved and seconded to approve not charging the registration fee for the city on August 7th and 8th.
Yes, sir.
That's through a weekend, I take it? Is there any more discussion?
I would just like to be able to make it clear to people as to why we register, because I know that when we first moved to Monte Vista, one, I didn't know I had to register my dogs, and two, I thought, what is this, just a revenue racket? what is this about? But it came down, I registered my dogs, and Anita explained to me, really what it does is, if your dog gets loose, and I think people need to understand this, that it's a protection for them. If your dog gets loose and bites somebody, then the city stands behind you and says, hey, it's registered, this dog's registered, this dog is not diseased, doesn't have rabies, doesn't have any, and so I've got some protection if somebody wants to, sue me and I've lost my little passport, vaccination passport, or I've lost their tags or whatever. I can come down to the city and say, would you please prove to this person that my dog doesn't have rabies? My dog has been vaccinated against whatever the vaccinations are. I just take my dogs in, they give them the shots, they write the passports, I don't know what it is. But those are, that made it make sense to me when because this was the first time I've ever lived anywhere that you had to register your dogs. And I didn't understand it. And so I think if people understand that it's actually a protection for them, granted we're waiving the $7 fee for those 2 days, but for $7, I've got the city behind me in protecting me and my dog from unnecessary testing and painful testing, vet bills for that testing.
And another big thing is if your dog's unregistered and unvaccinated and we impound it, what's the minimum of?
Quarantine for, according to Monte Vista code, is 14 days.
Yeah, so you're gonna be paying those.
You'll have 14 days of kennel fees.
Kennel fees.
So that $7 buys you a lot of protection.
You're right.
It really does. And like I said, I didn't understand it, and she explained it to me, and I was like, wow. This is almost like an insurance policy.
You have a motion second?
Yep, motion second, discussion. Anita?
Counselor Foster?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Segola?
Aye.
Counselor Locke?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve to waive the $7 registration dog fee for August 7th and 8th.
Okay, I will get that. We've got a press release that we'll put out on that and everything. And then, like I said, CSO Lopez will be there to answer those questions on animal laws and to explain why we do this. So, okay. PD briefing. We're ready for Stampede. We're ready. We've been ready for Stampede. That's been the easiest part of all of this for me, is being ready for Stampede, because we've got such good people at the police department that have done this so many times. That's just like old hat for them. Like, yeah, whatever. It's just Stampede. We deal with this every year. So that was the only other thing that I just kind of want to bring this up, and it's for a much larger discussion, but just kind of get it on your guys' radar. We've been so busy, and we do not have a full-time investigator, and this takes up a ton of our patrol officer time, because they're doing follow-up. The idea with a full-time investigator is to pass like the more serious crimes, whether it be a burglary or even like the sex assaults and that stuff, to somebody that has a lot of time to follow up on that. Because right now, we take a call, we go out, we do everything we can, we come back, we start doing follow-up, and then we get another call. And then so, now that goes to the back burner. And then that just compounds every single day. When we these more serious crimes, we could be passing off to a full-time investigator to do nothing but follow up on that. And with manpower, I mean, we've got, we just have enough just to do that. Take a call and go right back. Take a call, go back, and then and those more serious cases keep getting pushed to the back burner unless we take somebody off the road. And then as soon as we take somebody off the road to do all that follow-up, now we got to bring another officer, and then we're paying overtime to cover that shift, because we still got to be covering calls for service and stuff. So I just want to put that in there. It's something that I'll bring up. I actually want to have that in the budget. That I think is something that, but I just kind of want to get that on your radar and do that. So other than that, I don't have anything else. Any questions for me?
How have you enjoyed your first week?
It's been fun. I can't tell you what I did this week because I don't remember anything. It's been fun. No, it really has. It's been a great learning curve. But you know, Rob's the one I called on Rob. I'm like, Rob, what do you think? Because Rob's been doing this a long time and he's done it before. So thank goodness for him, and then Bob Gill from HR, and Anita, and everybody. I mean, everybody's just been great helping me. And I've talked to several of you and stuff. So yeah, no, it's fun. I like being busy. So thank you for the opportunity to be busy. Any other questions?
Did you have something, Carla?
Hey, do you mind if I make one more statement? I kind of forgot.
I'm done.
No, thank you. When I mentioned that by the time we get done with this project, because you know we had the planning phase, we had the design phase, and then we had the building phase, that's going to be about $9 million. I want to say thank you to council for believing in Friends on moving forward with this project. We need to thank Alcon for taking a risk as well. You know, we were not full funded, and that business believed in the project as well, and they went out on the limb too to make this happen, and have worked really well with us in juggling the financing. And we've been told by Alcon that if we would not have moved forward, that this project would be a minimum of 30% more in cost, more likely 40%, with the way steel and concrete and everything's went up. And if that would have happened, we wouldn't have started. There's no way we could have done that. And so we need to, you know, thank council for believing in us, and we all took some risks, but it's gonna pay off here in the end. But I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay, city clerk.
Good evening, council. You have my report in your packet. I just want to touch on a few things. So, in your packet, there's the American Rescue Plan Act. There's some paperwork in there that I was asked to make sure that you all have. My understanding, as soon as the new finance director is hired, then that person with this new city manager will go ahead and take on that American Rescue Plan Act money and where it's coming, when we're going to get it, and where it's going to go to. So that information is in your packet. Tammy's lunch bunch. Tammy Tanoe works with Sursa, and she's getting ready to have her annual lunch bunch training. It's a working lunch training. I suggested to council that either Salida or in Pueblo. Salida is Wednesday, September 15th, or in Pueblo is Wednesday, September 29th. I know that's a ways out, but I wanted to make sure that that was on your radar so that you can be looking at those dates, and within the next couple weeks let me know what dates you guys would prefer, which place you prefer to go to, what date, and if you're interested in going, if any of you are interested in going to that. In the clerk's corner, we've been really busy. We've had a lot of vendors license coming in for Stampede. The Optimistics are putting on the South Central Colorado Microbrew Festival and Car Show. So we have a lot of things that I'm working with them on, with the vendor's license, their liquor license, the whole thing to get them going, up and going. With them being there on 501c3 now, them obtaining the liquor license is very easy to do, so it's just a special event permit with their certificate of good standing and their articles of incorporation allows them to pull that special event permit. So we're working forward on that. A couple of things that it's in the report, but I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on. I wanted to address, Councilor Foster had queried about the business located at 1636 Highway 160. That is the old John's building. Currently there was the 4x4 Colorado 4x4 group that was in there. That building needs a lot of updates. The Colorado 4x4 was going to purchase that building from the owner. Don't know what happened. Something happened, fell through. While they were in that building, they subleased different areas to different people. They had 2 subleases going. One of those subleases went with them. The other sublease chose not to go with them. That person who received that sublease was Tristan Winters, and he had come to the city and received his business license to go ahead and have a business license and have a business within that building under the Colorado 4x4 special review use. When Colorado 4x4 moved out of that building, they went over to the building on Adams Street, 229 Adams, and it was decided by the previous manager that we would not make them close their doors. The Colorado 4x4, we would not make them close their doors while they obtain the variance to continue to operate because of the situation. Mr. Winters, who was a sublet lease of the 4x4 company, he had come to me and said, I am now going to be leasing the building at 1636 Highway 160. I explained to him the process that he would have to go through the special review use to be able to have a repair shop there. I explained to him that the special review use goes with the person, not the property. He said okay. And then in the middle of the former manager leaving, it was kind of a discussion of he didn't bring in paperwork, shut him down. So Monday the 12th, when I came to work, we went ahead and issued a cease and desist to have him quit working in that building. Myself and Chief Dingfelder and City Attorney Mr. Trio sat down and met this morning at 9 a.m. Was it this morning? Yeah, this morning. Sorry. This morning at 9 a.m. to discuss some issues because we don't want to set a precedence of closing businesses down. We want to try to help businesses thrive within Monte Vista. So it was determined by the 3 of us that we were going to go ahead and let Mr. Winters continue to operate as a repair shop at the building at 160 as long as he has his paperwork for the special review use to me by close of business next week on Thursday. I did talk to Mr. Winters today. He's extremely excited because his comment to me was exactly, if I have to close for 3 months to wait to get a special review use, I'm gonna have to go somewhere else. I can't afford it. I need my business. I need this to live. So he was very excited about that. So he's already brought in some of that paperwork. I gave him some information where he needs to get a few more things, but he said he'll have that to me by Monday. So I just wanted to let you all know what is going on in that building and what has taken place and why we have done what we've done to let him continue to use that building. The other thing that I needed to bring to your attention is east of town, as you're coming into town near County Road 3, is the Welcome to Monte Vista sign. That sign sits on private property owned by the Schraders. Back when Jim Drinkhouse, which I don't know what year that was city manager, it was a handshake that the city could place the sign on that property. The Schraders, however, have moved, and the family has decided to sell that piece of property. So I've been in touch with the Schraders, and we are working on putting together an easement for that sign. They are willing to sell the city an easement for the amount of $1,200. That's a pretty minor amount of money for an easement. So I've been working with the city attorney, and I've reached out to a couple of surveyors because we are going to need to get the property surveyed and an easement drawn up with that surveyed easement included into that. So one thing I do need from council tonight is I'm requesting approval from council to move forward with the survey and the easement agreement. This will be done under the guidance and the help of the city attorney. So I do need a motion from city council to go ahead and move forward with that, so that we can hire a surveyor and get that surveyed and get that paid for, so we don't lose access to that sign. Or if they sell that property and we don't have that easement, the new owners may say, okay, you need to move that sign. And from my understanding, it's gonna take a lot more than $1,200 to move that sign.
I would motion to try to obtain that easement and survey, and to have the survey done to obtain the easement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve for the easement and the survey to take care of that. Is there any more discussion? Anita?
Councilor Locke?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Segola?
Aye.
Councilor Foster?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to allow to move forward with the survey and easement agreement for the property where the Welcome to Monte Vista sign is located east of town. Two other things I wanted to address with you is special meeting. I will be setting up a special meeting for you all on July 19th. You will convene the meeting at 12 p.m.
July 19th.
That is Monday, July 19th. You'll convene the meeting here at City Hall at 12 p.m. You will then excuse to go into executive session for interviews for city manager. You will recess from that special meeting at 1 p.m. You will reconvene at 6 p.m. to go back into an executive session for the additional interviews for the city manager. Any questions about that?
Looking forward to the pizza.
Okay. The other thing, and Chief has already touched on this, I have scheduled a 1 cent committee meeting on July 21st at 6 p.m. I know that only one member so far is not going to be present. Hopefully Ken will be present. As far as I know, the rest of them will be present. Chief and myself are going to try to make sure that the 1 cent committee is updated on everything that's going on, and make sure that that line of communication is clear and transparent between council, staff, and the 1 cent committee. And then we will do a work session to discuss event coordinator and economic development. Economic developer, do you want to do that on the 26th, 27th, 28th, or 29th? It's the last week of July.
That's Stampede Week, isn't it?
No, the week after.
So it's like the week immediately after. And I'm up for whatever day.
And it's a nighttime meeting.
Correct.
6 o'clock?
6 p.m.
I will be out of town, but don't let that stop you from meeting.
27th?
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
Okay.
That worked.
And then just to also let you know, the planning and zoning meeting, the planning and zoning commission, and they also act as the board of adjustment, met on July 8th to do the variance for the 4x4 shop located at 229 Adams. The board of adjustment is the final word on variances, and they approved that variance with one condition, and the condition was that the vehicles that are parked out front must be licensed and registered. Is there any questions from me?
You want to mention the meeting greet?
Sure. So council is going to be having a meet and greet to, for the citizens of Monte Vista to meet the two interviewees for city manager. And that will begin at 2:30, I believe. Is that correct, Chief? 2:30?
Yes, that sounds right.
2:30, I don't remember. That's right.
And that's
2:30 to 4:30?
2:30 to 4:30 for the citizens to come in and meet the candidates for city manager and to ask questions. And then council will be doing those interviews that evening.
What day?
Monday.
Monday, the 19th.
Thank you,
And it'll be here at City Hall.
thank you.
Bring your questions, Mark.
Do it. Rake them over the coals.
All right.
Ask them what their favorite tree is.
That'd be interesting, Nate.
So I think that's all I have for you.
All right, thank you, Anita. Public Works. Good to have you, Rob.
Good to be back, even if I'm only moving half speed, so. You have in your packets, my official written document. Just really pretty much all I really want to talk about is, I really would like to thank my department and my crew. Since I've been out, they have carried the bulk of the load and they have done a fantastic job. So I just really wanted to put a shout out to my entire crew and my supervisors for picking up the slack that I left them and keeping things moving and keeping the town looking good. I really appreciate what they're doing. The other big thing that's going on is we have a 57 unit development going on over at Terra del Sol. That's filing number 2. It's moving along pretty good. Contractors in, they've installed, made sure all the water and sewer's good. Starting to do curb and gutter, and we'll be paving that soon. So we will be the fortunate folks that as we get things going, we're going to have at least 57 new home lots available to the city of Monte Vista. So that's some pretty good news coming in. Also, I wish I had the confidence that Chief had as far as Stampede, but we are getting ready for Stampede. We still have some work to do, but guys are working really hard at that. Things are coming together. We've been weed eating parade routes and detours and trying to get that area looking, as well as trying to keep the downtown looking good. So still moving forward with that. We still have some work to do. We'll continue on. The big announcement that I really want to make sure that everybody knows is that over at the Sky High facility, they're going to be putting in 2 fire hydrants next week on Monday. That's going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning. There's going to be water off pretty much from Clearview east, heading out towards Home Lake. Notices went out today. If you did not receive a door hang notice, you are not affected. Everyone else that did receive that, you will have water up until about 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. That hopefully gives everybody enough time to shower, get their kids ready for school, get ready to go to work. Stock up on some water, put a few gallons of water in the fridge, because to get both fire hydrants in, most water will be off in that area all day. Okay, they're gonna do the west side first and then do the east side. West side is a smaller time frame of being off because we can keep Sherman pump running, but the east side will literally affect everything from Sky High all the way out to the Veterans Center. So just want to make sure everybody that's listening to this and sees this understands that there will be a large water shut off on Monday beginning at 8 o'clock in the morning. And with that, thank you, council. Thank you, chief, for putting me back on Sky High. It's been a good project. I'm looking forward to working with everybody and hope that I can do my part to make sure this project comes in the way everybody wants it to. So I'm excited about that. I'm glad to be back. So other than that, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rob. IT, cause the PD took care of the interim, so.
No kind of comments on the walk-up. Okay, so my written report is in you guys' packet. There's not a whole lot to report on this particular council session. Big thing is we did finish up completely revamping our entire server room and our network stacks. Everything seems to be working well. We haven't really had any issues. So with that being said, moving forward, I know we do have some large projects that you guys will hear about as we move forward that are in the works. We've had a pretty hectic week, and because of some recent changes here in the city, we've had to go through and evaluate certain security things and the way files are being stored. I know there's a lot of things that we do need to change, but at the same time, things have worked a lot better than I thought they would. So other than that, and just random little IT things that happen every single day, there's not a whole lot for me to report.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Must've been Anita's computer.
It was. It was all in the clerk's office.
Quite a bit of it was clerks. Diana over up front has been a huge portion of it, but other than that, just preparing for new people to come in. And I mean, when you have a finance director and a city manager, that's a lot of access and a lot of files that have to be redirected. It's interesting.
I'm certain of that. Okay, we'll go to council, committee, city commission, and council reports. Martha, we'll start with you tonight.
Well, I want to say that it's been a fantastic, this has been one of the most informal and informative meetings I think we've had in a long time. There's been a whole lot put on us as far as understanding what's going on, the changes that are coming, the excitement about a lot of things that are going on. I want to thank you, Carla, for all the work that you and friends have done to make this a reality, so that we do need an events coordinator. That's great. I want to thank the citizens, Mr. Richards, Mr. Hamco, that have gotten involved, many others that are here right now. But wow, we got a lot of stuff thrown at us tonight, and there's a lot coming, and it's all positive, it's all forward progressive movement, and I'm just stinking proud. I can't stand it. There you go.
Thank you, Martha. Larry?
Well, I don't have much to say or much to add to that. I will say that this demonstrates what can happen when you collaborate and you put minds together and get that synergy of going, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
Thank you. I just want to say that I'm grateful and thankful to be here in the city of Monte Vista, to see some of the citizens step up to the plate and take on things that some people don't take on. A lot of other people don't take on. Their time, their effort, it's immeasurable. So thank you guys, thank the citizens for making Monte Vista what it is. You know, if it wasn't for you guys, it wouldn't be what it is. You know, and for city staff, you know, like there's so much that you guys do that we have absolutely zero idea about. So I just want to say thank you guys for all the hard work that you guys put into all the research and all the stuff, all the information that you guys provide council. It's, you know, I just want to say thank you guys, and I'm excited to be here, you know, to see what's happening, to see the, you know, the progress and to see where it's going, you know, to be optimistic about our city. You know, we have a wonderful city here. You see the great people that are here, and just in this room, that doesn't mean that there's great people out there too. If we can get all these people together, you know, who knows the, you know, what Monte Vista can turn into. So thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Very good, thank you, Victor. As well, as far as the meeting tonight, I think it was absolutely wonderful, a lot of ideas thrown at us. I'll reach out and thank the community as well, but the Sky High Park project, this goes back many years ago, and I can tell you that the team that's out there and everybody that's involved are doing an amazing job. And I'll back what Carla said, when Alcon Construction, they took the leap of faith with us. So the city took the leap of faith when we pulled the building down. Alcon took the leap of faith to trust that this was all gonna come together. And I believe there is a reason why it all came together the way it did. So to all the citizens, thank you once again. Watch yourselves, watch your surroundings, pay attention to what's going on in your neighborhood, because there's still some funny stuff going on. So with that, that's all I have. Monty Strong, and we will adjourn the meeting till August 5th.